Have you ever wondered what actually makes a defensive midfielder the best in the world? Is it controlling the entire game, protecting the defense, or being able to adapt when the game changes completely? Because two midfielders have given us two very different answers to that question. Sergio Busquets and Rodri. One could make possession feel effortless, the other could influence almost every phase of the game. But if you had to choose just one, who is the ultimate CDM? Today, we're putting them through 3 tests, and by the end of this video, we're choosing a winner. Let's start with Busquets, because if there's one thing he could do better than almost anyone from this position, it was control. And I'm not talking about simply completing passes. I'm talking about controlling the rhythm of the entire game. Watch Busquets closely. Before he receives, he's already scanning. He knows where the pressure is coming from. He knows where the next pass is, and when the ball arrives, he's already thinking about what happens next. That's why pressing Busquets was so difficult. You could close him down, and somehow the pressure became an advantage. He could receive, attract a defender, and release the ball into the space that defender had just abandoned. Or he could simply turn away from the pressure and keep everything moving. And sometimes the smartest thing Busquets did was nothing spectacular at all. He didn't force the difficult pass. He didn't dribble just because he could. He kept the ball moving, one pass, then another. And suddenly the opposition is chasing the ball instead of controlling the game. That's what made Busquets special. He didn't just play possession football, he controlled it. Rodri can obviously do this too. His passing range is outstanding. He can switch play, break lines, carry the ball, and dictate the tempo. But there's something unique about Busquets. His ability to manipulate pressure and make the game move at his rhythm was extraordinary. So if we're asking who controls a possession game better, I'm giving that to Busquets. But a CDM doesn't only have to control the game when his team has the ball, because the moment possession disappears, the job changes. Now we get to the other side of the position. When possession is lost, a CDM has to protect the center. Cover space, track runners, win second balls, stop transitions, and protect the defenders behind him. And this is where Rodri has the advantage. Rodri isn't only intelligent defensively, he's physically imposing. He can read the danger early, but he also has the size, strength, and reach to deal with it. He can step out and win the ball, cover large spaces, win aerial duels, protect the center backs, and when an opponent tries to attack through the middle, Rodri can be the player standing between them and the defense. Busquets was also an intelligent defender. His anticipation and positioning were elite. But there is a difference. Busquets often defended through reading the game. Rodri can read the game and then physically dominate the situation. Sometimes positioning is enough, but sometimes you need to win the duel. Sometimes you need to cover ground. Sometimes you need to physically stop the attack. And Rodri gives you more of that. He can even drop deeper and help form almost another defensive line when necessary. So when we ask who gives his team better defensive cover, Rodri takes this one. But now we have a problem. Busquets controls the game better. Rodri protects the team better. So how do we separate them? There's one final question, and this might be the most important one. What happens when the system changes? Because being an elite CDM isn't only about being brilliant in your perfect environment. It's about what you can give your team when the game demands something different. And this is where Rodri becomes extremely difficult to compete with. Rodri can play in a possession-based system. He can dictate the game, but take possession away, and he's still valuable. Put him in a team that has to defend deeper. He can protect the defense. Give him a team that wants to counter, like he can win the ball and start the transition. Ask him to cover space, like he can do it. Ask him to drop deeper. He can do it. His game doesn't depend on one specific style of football. He can adapt to the game. Now look at Busquets. This is where the difference becomes clearer. Busquets was almost perfectly built for possession football. Give him technically gifted players around him. Give him teammates who understand movement. Give his team control of the ball, and you unlock one of the greatest midfield controllers we've ever seen. He can make the entire team function around possession, but take him into a completely different environment. A team that sits deep, a team that relies heavily on counterattacks, a team that constantly has to defend large spaces, and you're no longer maximizing the qualities that made Busquets extraordinary. That's the key difference. Busquets was incredible in his environment. Rodri can adapt to more environments. And when we're looking for the ultimate CDM, that matters, because the ultimate midfielder shouldn't only be brilliant when the game is played on his terms. He should still give you something when the game changes, and Rodri gives you more versions of himself. So, who is the ultimate CDM? Busquets wins the first battle. If you want someone to control a possession-dominant game, manipulate pressure, and dictate the rhythm, Busquets is almost impossible to replace. But Rodri wins the defensive battle. He gives you greater physical presence, more defensive coverage, and more ways to protect the team. And then comes the final test, the system. And this is where Rodri creates the separation. Because Rodri can give you elements of what Busquets gives you, while also offering qualities that allow him to function in more tactical environments. He can control, he can defend, he can cover, he can carry, he can score, and he can adapt. So if I'm choosing one complete defensive midfielder to build a team around, I'm choosing Rodri. But that doesn't mean Rodri is simply a better version of Busquets. He isn't. Because if you ask me who I'd want controlling a possession-dominant midfield at its absolute highest level, Busquets is still one of the greatest answers football has ever produced. And that's what makes this debate so interesting. Because the ultimate CDM isn't necessarily the player who wins every single category. It's about what you value most from the position. If you value controlling possession and making the entire game move at your rhythm, Busquets. But if you want the more complete midfielder, someone who can control, defend, cover, and adapt to different systems, Rodri is the ultimate CDM. This is insane football IQ. We don't just watch what great players do, we uncover why. And if you want to understand football on a deeper level, subscribe, because there's always more happening on the pitch than what first meets the eye. Until next time.